It is tempting when someone great passes to freeze them in our memory as they were at their best, accomplished, practiced, resolute, notorious. As I've pored over the tributes to Ruth Bader Ginsburg since Friday, what stood out to me most profoundly is her unfettered belief in the collective spirit of humanity. At first, this was infuriating and discouraging to me, actually, because her passing invokes so much fear, and most particularly, the fear that humanity is doomed, that the worst of who we are as humans will actually prevail. Do you ever feel that way? Like maybe our propensity to harm is too powerful. Maybe our drive for power over and our general discord with one another and the earth will actually wipe us out entirely. As I let this despair wash over me for a few moments in the early hours of Saturday morning, windows still open to the not yet blistering hot air, birds and bunnies and lizards coexisting on the deck off the back of my house, coffee in hand and the sounds of my family slowly waking, I thought, what hope do we have? No, really, God, what hope do we have? It was a shake your fist at the heavens moment, raging at the skies repeatedly. What hope do we have? And as I practiced this spiritual rage, a whisper in my soul asked in return, what hope did she have? Okay, quiet voice within, that's what you're asking right now? What hope did she have? So, listening to the still, small voice, I decided to stop picturing RBG quite so resolute. I pulled up a picture on my phone of her from around the time she started working as a professor, after being turned down for a clerkship by the courts despite her outstanding credentials as first in her class in law school, where she was 1 in 9 women in a class of over 500 men. I meditated on this stage of her life and all that she must have felt. When her Harvard law professor questioned her role as a law student because she was taking up the space of a man in the class, when she looked out at a world where women were unable to sign for property ownership without a man, a world before her co-founding the Women's Rights Project at the American Civil Liberties Union and over 300 gender discrimination cases that followed. I decided as a spiritual practice yesterday morning for my hopeless self to picture RBG in despair, to imagine her, just like me in that moment, depressed at the state of the world, which was far worse off at the beginning of her career than it is now. To imagine her overwhelmed, to imagine her fearful, to imagine her questioning if the worst of who we are as humans might actually prevail. It is tempting when someone great passes to freeze them in our memory as they were at their best, accomplished, practiced, resolute, notorious. When we do this, though, we lose a little bit of their humanity. And when we lose the humanity of our leaders, we lose the will to follow them, to act as they did. Like our Jesus, who the more we worship as God, the less we follow him, the less we act like him. So as I practiced imagining Ruth Bader Ginsburg depressed at the state of the world, that frustration that I had been feeling in regard to her resolute belief in the collective, her belief in us, the frustration dissipated because I realized that the frustration lies in buying into the idea that great leaders believe in us, believe in humanity, because they're somehow superhuman, that they're born with this innate spiritual sight that allows them to be optimistic and live without fear of our darkness overtaking us. So then when we lost her on Friday, we all thought, well, who will believe in us now? The answer, as I allowed myself to remember her humanity, the answer is us. We will believe in us now. We will remember that she was merely human, and thus acting like her is a totally legit expectation and goal for ourselves. We need not fear that the world has lost its anchor. We are our anchor, the collective. It's what she stood for. It's what she lived for. It's what she banked on. It's what she fought for, the belief in the collective. That hope for the world rests not on one of us, but all of us together. So today, in our entirely justified in every way despair for the world, I invite us to remember the complete, the full humanity of one of our greats. She was one of many throughout time who've looked on at our broken world, our broken relationship to each other, and thought, nah, not this. I dissent. May we remember in her honor that a steadfast belief in the collective requires not that we put our heads in the sand and pretend humanity is better than it is. Rather, that we hold our heads high and work to see humanity at its very best. May we remember in her honor that a steadfast belief in the collective requires not that we are stuffy and stodgy and overcome by the seriousness of it all. Rather, that we play and laugh and make fun with our nicknames and our outfits, subverting the broken culture of power through a commitment to joy and laughter. Together, we look at this world and our broken relationship to one another, and we say, not this. We dissent. Because we believe in the collective. It is the hope we have.